sing. Are
Ready?
ready.
Hello and welcome. This is the Supresses podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm Sue Ellen.
And we welcome you. Tonight we're going to be discussing how religion suppresses your spirituality. Now, we're going to get in depth about talking about not talking bad about people who are religious and follow organized religion. We have nothing against
Or a certain dogma.
What now?
A dogma.
Right. We have nothing against anyone, but what the problem that I have is with the religious hierarchy, the ones in charge, the powers that be, that are walking on streets of gold while their followers are living in rags, and that's wrong every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, it's wrong. I mean,
that's not what it's spirituality, connection, or the true message of Christ or Buddha, whatever, Muhammad, whichever person and teachings that you actually, relate to.
Right. Absolutely. And it's there's many things that have been kept hidden, or they're not talked about, because it would really out the truth hurts, and it would definitely hurt those in charge big time.
How many hundreds of years was it after Constantine and that they even allowed people, the common folk, to even read the Bible?
Oh, it was.
I don't remember.
It was a long, hundreds of years.
So many people died in that process of making that happen.
Well,
so many people were underground. There's such a long history, the history of religion.
One thing too is we will talk about Emperor Constantine and how Constantine
in Constantinople.
Well, Constantine murdered his wife and his son on his way to the Council of Nicaea to determine what books would make up the Bible that we have today, the 66 books that make up the Bible that we have today. And later, the church made him a saint. Yes.
He killed his wife and he killed his son?
He killed his son, Emperor Constantine. The one...
And then he went, and then he sent his mother to build some church or something. She was supposed to be some...
She went to Jerusalem and supposedly found the true cross. The truth is if you put all of the pieces of the true cross together in the world today, you would have 23 crosses. So, look, I'm sorry, but it is... this is the true cross. Really? How do you know? I mean, come on.
Well, we all know it's and this is the stuff that's a scam. It's a bullshit. People still know it. People still use it. But people are we all face death. People watch people they love die. People have, experiences. And people are absolutely terrified. We all are. And we all have to come to terms with that. And they want to know that there's something after this life. They want to know that there's something good. They see bad happening, so it makes sense to them that there's some battle going on that's good and evil, and so I want to be on the good side. You know, and I remember being a little girl and like bouncing on my bed saying, if the devil doesn't like it, you know, he could sit on attack. You know, but you know, people go into it for, you know, beautiful reasons and, you know, wanting communion and wanting to be with others and find others as like-minded and people that want to be good too, or believe in, you know, the sanctity of things.
Right.
And it's just been, everything's been hijacked. It's just nothing more than a constitution, a religion, you know, a certain ism.
It has definitely been hijacked more than most people know, more than some people want to know, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because yes, Constantine, who is heralded, you know, people herald him as, oh, he brought Christianity to Rome and all. You know, he did it for one reason. Hey, Elaine, howdy. Glad you joined us. He did it for one reason, and that was, guess what? This is a shocker. Political reasons. And I'll discuss that. I mean,
right, and to also bring two people that were the warring between the Jews and the pagans, what I guess you'd say, right? And they wanted to find a way that would bind them together, so they found a way to kind of start intertwining things.
yes.
So it would look good to everybody.
Yes, matter of fact,
They wanted they wanted something that was digestible to everybody, would bring peace, and so they would start working and making money for them.
right. Matter of fact, the most of the cathedrals. Hey, Mona. Glad you joined us.
Hi,
Thank you. Most of the Roman Catholic cathedrals, church. Hey, Jacob. Glad you joined us. Most of the cathedrals, the holy sites, even the Vatican itself sits on the ruins of pagan sites. Why is that? Because there were so many people that made pilgrimages to these sites. Churches say, you know, not gonna disrupt things and go somewhere else where people aren't gonna come to. So we'll just build on top of what we preach to be, you know, a place where evil is conducted, or, you know, the pagans are so bad and everything, you know. Let me tell you, just like, you know, Jesus, you know, talked about, he said it's not what goes into a person, it's what comes out of a person that's bad, you know. It's what's in your heart. It's not places, it's not where you go, it's not who you know. It all makes the loop. It all begins and it ends with you and your choices and what's in your heart. And
how you process, how you deal with it.
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's the cold hard. And that's the cold hard facts. Because one of the things that a religion espouses is that you can jump on somebody's coattails, or you can make somebody else accountable, or that every action doesn't have an opposite and equal reaction. They said that everything requires balance. So no matter what we do, it's going to have a consequence.
Right.
No one's going to be able to, we can hold each other's hands, but we're all going to have to face stuff alone and go through that process, you know, hopefully with a lot of people in support around you, but, you know, that's something we have to do alone. You know, the preachers and the church gives people that feeling, you know, of that they don't have to do the work necessarily. And they can just say that they are sorry and confess, and that they can be forgiven for anything that they do.
Right. It's
just absurd.
It's you know, go ahead and do what you want to do to your neighbor, to your friend. You know, it's just like the song, you know, Coven 110 Soldier. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. You know, because you can do anything and be forgiven.
And what does that sound like? It really sounds like actually just the way our economy is run.
Well, because it is a political, religious system.
It's just it's a throne. I just like to call them thrones. Like he gave us throne.
Well,
it's the religious throne.
Well, that's very interesting because there are in the demonic hierarchy, Paul names different demonic, powers and principalities, princes, and one of those, they're called thrones, and so the very throne, like you
said. Did you say drones?
There is a demonic. I've lost my train of thought. There's different
demonic beings.
Different levels. Yes.
A demonic being named throne.
Demonic beings, plural. Thrones. He says there's principalities, there's powers, there's rulers, and thrones. Talking about, and powerful spiritual entities that, and they're.
You're saying that we don't face flesh and bone.
He says, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God so you may stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against rulers, against the spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places.
Against systems. He means they're not blood. They're not real. Just like corporations are golems. They're nothing but dead corpses, being controlled by that puppet master that sits at the head, that, everything's beholden to the shareholders, not to the people, the betterment, or the quality of a product or anything, just to the bottom line. It's a system that chops people.
Well,
and we chop each other up in the system.
Well, he says that they are real. He actually says that they're more real than we are, than the things that we see around us. He says, for the unseen things are. He says, for the things we see are temporal. The things that are unseen are eternal. They're more real than we are. So, and extremely powerful.
Right, but they're also teaching things that you can't see that are dangerous, like radiation, like sulfur kills. They would teach that demons came out. When you smell sulfur, they would teach that that's where demons live, that it also would, you could teach children and pass down knowledge to keep people away. When you knew that smell, you knew to get the hell out of Dodge.
Right.
You knew, not to light a fire here, or you knew not to do this. So they were teachings passed down, not crap for us to sit here and go on and on about where we go and blah, 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 and crap we can't see. Let's talk about how it applies here. How is it going to make it apply here? How is it going to make our life better? Make us feel, make us feel like we're doing our duty and due diligence. Right.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't believe for 1 minute that there were a group of scientists that says, hey, I wonder how much power there is in an atom, and that knowledge was given to them maybe not in the way that people say, oh, well, you know, a demon came and gave this knowledge. No, it's not like that. It's it is.
It's the observation of the natural world and being stuck. Here we are guarded. We're taken away of the knowledge how anything works, how animals and nature work. We don't even know, you know, how, you know, close we are to this. We're kind of taken away and separated.
Why is that?
Why? To pollute ourselves.
Because we
our
have
genealogy
for us and tell us about it. We don't observe
exactly.
for
We're going to have them be our family, the church be our family, our group, and we forget about our lineage. We forget about family. You know, in Europe, people have like 5 or 6 last names. We believe it's 5. Like official last names so they can trace. Here, you know, in America, they don't do that. You know? The people don't know a lot of times who their great-grandparents were or who this was. You know, no different. America's probably one of the grandest experiments. You know, but...
well, it's definitely, you know, definitely an experiment.
They came here and freedom from wanting... Freedom from somebody else's religion.
The New Atlantis, you know, what, you know, the Great Work. I mean, it's which that's not exactly what it is, but I mean, all of those metaphors. You know, it's the New World. You know, but that's the. I have always said that if I was going to rule the world and didn't have any morals or any conscience or whatever, and I was going to rule the world, the way I would do it is not tell people what I thought, but tell them that God said it, that God ordained it, and
right. But that's what the Pope did. Says that he speaks, they call it ex cathedra.
No,
he actually is the vicar. I'm sorry, the vicar of Christ.
Yes, which means
he
instead of or
the word
substitute for
Christ on earth. He speaks Christ's word on earth in ex cathedra.
No, not ex cathedra. I'm sorry, but you know, catheter is.
I didn't say catheter.
It sounded like you did, and that's why I was going,
no. Catheter, whatever, it's like the way that I don't know what it's called. When he does it, when the Pope does speak, or when the Pope did speak, as a representative he was in a Pacific, like, state, and they called it, I thought it was it was a little kid when Dad told me. It's just a name for it.
They claim that the Pope is infallible. That
it's called ex cathedra, with the full authority of office of the Pope's infallibility as divine in the Roman Catholic doctrine.
Right. Divine.
So, I was right.
Divine.
Yeah, he speaks with full authority of office.
That's what I'm saying. But think about that. Think about that. Divine. That's saying that he's God. And that's exactly what that means.
Oh, you're a representative. Yeah, the ex cathedra would be someone speaking as if. Okay, got it.
Yeah, speaking the very words, speaking as God himself. And I'm not buying it. That's pure BS. I don't care. And look, there's so many crimes that the popes throughout history, and not just the popes, but many spiritual leaders. But since we're talking about the Vatican, about Catholicism, and we're not talking about Catholics. We're not talking about people that are Catholics, love you. We're not talking about you at all. We're not talking about the followers. We're talking about those in charge, those that are taking advantage of so many people, and not just the Vatican. I'm talking not just Catholics, but Protestants too. I mean, it has all turned into the very thing that it was supposedly, that it was against to begin with, supposedly. And I saw this post on Facebook that was just absolute. This is what brought me to this is I'm sorry, but it's just the most. I just cannot. I can't comprehend this. It's a sign like a billboard outside of a church, an Assembly of God church, and it says, "A thinker is Satan's slave." What? Are you serious? A free thinker is Satan's slave. So define.
I think a lot of people fall into that because they think, okay, the tree of knowledge, that was what caused us to sin, and we were, blissful and ignorant and just enjoying things, and that's the simple stuff. I think it starts out. I think all this stuff, initially starts out with a good intention, and then they see a movement grow, and then right away the powers grab on it, and right away they take it and implement it, and they've been doing it for centuries, and it's just something that is done like clockwork, just like a clock.
But this statement, they might as well have put up. We strongly encourage you not to think for yourself. Allow us to think for you. And proof of that is for years and years and years, the layman, the common man, was not allowed to read the Bible. He was only they were only allowed to go to church.
That's what we were saying.
They were only allowed.
People were killed.
Go ahead.
Yeah. People they were murdered, skinned alive for sharing books underground. It was horrible.
Because they want to control. They don't want anyone to think freely, because they may catch on. Their knowledge may increase, and they may catch on to the scam, to the ruse, to the BS of the whole thing now.
Right.
And that would really cut into their deep pockets, full of money, gold, everything, power, and they don't want that. And but it says a free thinker is Satan's slave, and my response is no. A free thinker is free from you, from being your slave. Because think about people, and maybe you're one of them, that used to just you would go to church, and you would leave feeling worse, or sometimes better, but I mean most of the time you leave feeling you're not changed. I mean, like they say, well, yeah, we're gonna. It's powerful.
It's powerful when people. I've been in church and people are singing together and all that, and it's just made me cry. I wondered why I always cried. It made me so sad, and I always thought, because I see all these people together, but it's all BS. Well, I remember. I watched the cliques at the church, when I went to the church, and my dad was abusing me, and I was looking for help, and, it was just women that were just kind of all knew each other and just hung out in their little group and went to church and then went to and did their thing and ate after, and it was not, and they just wanted people pretty much to come in and get money and go and, work and, for the kids or work helping them in some department. And, and I remember going to one of their groups, to one of the churches, and I said, so you believe that if somebody doesn't believe in Jesus Christ or even know Jesus Christ, then they're going to go to hell? And he didn't want to answer it at first, and I just kept asking him in different ways. And he finally said yes. And I just said, okay, thank you. And I put everything down, and I walked out of that church. And that was the last time that I went back to, denominational group.
A lot of feedback. For some reason, we're having storms here out in the country, so
yeah, we're having them in Las Vegas too.
But the thing is that and I'm just putting this out there. I'm not against Christianity. I'm not against Christians. I'm not against Protestants. I'm not against Catholics. I am against, again, the hierarchy, those in power. It's like it's like both
the pyramid structure.
It's like both Protestants and Catholics at the top levels. They will mysteriously look over, or they will skip over a group or someone that's a really horrible person if they make a donation of a substantial amount to the church. And that's wrong. That is wrong. There are groups of people that are in the church today that are members of secret societies, and the church hierarchy knows, well, they're part of it, but I mean, they know that it's not compatible with Christianity, but hey, they accept it anyway, because if they didn't, then they would lose so many of their members, and that would cut into their pocketbook, cut into their money.
Exactly. Yep.
And you know what?
Yep.
That's bullshit. That is bullshit. You stick to your guns.
My sister was allowed to have a gay godfather in the Catholic Church because of the donations from my mother. And my sister was allowed to have her daughter, my niece, completely bypass all being baptized in the classes just because of her husband's contributions to the church. My mother and father were married for 10 years and had 2 children, and because my dad was a devout Catholic, always gave to the Catholic Church, they were allowed to have an annulment.
Well,
absolutely ridiculous hypocrisy. I'm not debating whether the Protestant's right or anybody's right. Well, what I'm talking about is the hypocrisy and the just people need to wake up, and America is so behind.
People need to wake up, people need to stand up, people need to speak up and say, to hell with whatever pope, whatever cardinal, whatever bullshit, pedophile, ring, or whatever, that knows that little boy, that I still think that every one of these bastards that knew what was going on and tried to cover it up, and then when they couldn't cover it up anymore, then then they had to, they had to admit, well, yeah, it was going on and everything, but they cover each other's backs. They send Father Pito away to another church where he can molest other boys and kids and stuff. Listen, Pope Ratzinger, okay, he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
He knew damn well what was going on, and he didn't say a damn word about it. He tried his best to cover it up. Every damn one of them have. And I swear, they need to be brought to justice, but they never will be. Why is that? Because they're the ones in charge.
They will be, but there's a great possibility that just behind that magic curtain is the Catholic Church.
What now?
One of the biggest rulers. They talk about the Illuminati. They talk about but the Catholic Church.
Exactly.
And according to a lot of the studies that I'm reading, and from my experiences.
Well, and two, think about this. The Vatican is the smallest country on earth. I mean, it's like an acre. It is like 1 acre. I mean, it is tiny, but it is the richest. It is the richest of all. It rules the earth. Let me tell you, the Vatican is the religion.
And you know what?
Wait.
And you know what?
Wait, please, let me finish this.
Okay.
The Vatican is the religious center of the world. London, proper London, is the financial center of the world. And Washington, D.C. is the military center of this world. And those three rule the world by finances, by religion, by fear-based and guilt-based religion. And if that doesn't work, then, hey, bomb the hell out of them. Men, women, and children, kill them all. That's how it works.
And exactly. And let's tell me, and everybody can say, look how well the religions have done in the world. That every place that I've ever gone on vacation, is homeless people everywhere.
That's right.
Everywhere. Every fucking where.
Whoa, yeah.
So, it is absolutely, the proof is here. Technology, AI, they talk about all this. What about world hunger? What about starvation? It's because they're cogs in a machine, and they're all part of a machine that are meant to die, meant to perish, meant to be the ones to be experimented, to get to see, to watch.
Two, isn't it amazing that CERN's largest financial contributor, one of the largest, if not the largest contributor to CERN, is the Vatican?
Yeah.
Whoa! Wow! That's really
cool. The Vatican has one of the biggest telescopes. That's called the Lucifer.
Yes,
telescope.
in Arizona.
Yeah.
And it is pointed at a certain section of the universe. It's been pointed there for quite a while, and the person that runs at the astronomer has said that they're looking for something. Okay, well, yeah, you got a telescope, so thank you, Mr. Obvious. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, you're looking for something, but we want to know what you're looking for. And then you go back to, again, to Geordie Rose of D-Wave and, CERN and all this AI, and he says, there are entities coming. He says, they're not angels. He says some people call them angels and demons. He says, but they're not good or evil. He says they just simply don't give a shit about humanity. And he says, but they're coming. He says they're on their way like a swarm. And he says, he says we are building synthetic humans, and they really are. And he says that when he said when these Lovecraftian old ones. Now, if you read H.P. Lovecraft, the old ones, they're not good. They're not what you would call good. They're bad.
Well, and according to this, let's just preface this with H.P. Lovecraft and Disney, the Walt Disney, were both anti-Jew. They were both very, what do you call it, Aryanistic? I didn't know that, but yeah, they were very, yeah. They had a very Aryan type views, I would say, according to all what I never knew this, but I've just started reading things and people have been talking about it and making jokes about it. It was even on the Family Guy, a reference to it. So to Walt.
Well,
I never knew that either.
There's a lot of things going around, a lot of new discoveries, a lot of new revelations that are being made as far as what has gone on in the past, and a lot of technology.
They've actually transplanted a guy's head, somebody's head onto another head, and had them live for a little while. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, we have some weird stuff going on now, so people really need to come to grips with what things mean and start up and.
Well, one thing with Geordie Rose, whose new company is Sanctuary.ai, which you can go there, but you cannot get in.
I tried.
Yeah, you have to have a password. You have to be in. But he explained how that they're making synthetic humans, and that they're going to begin the trial in Vancouver. They're going to turn these synthetic humans out into the public and see how they interact and immerse themselves in society with biological humans. But get this. This is what he said. This is what he said in 2015. He said these entities are more intelligent than anyone in this room. He says all of us put together. He says the greatest human mind. He said their minds surpass it. He says it's just no match. He says they're coming, and he says, and when they arrive, he said they will inhabit the AI, the synthetic humans. Okay, that's what you talked about, Sue Ellen, when we've talked about it. You brought that up before Geordie Rose did, and you were prophetic about that because that's what he's talking about. He's talking about possession. I mean, he's talking about a spirit, an entity, and when I say that, I mean I'm talking about an interdimensional entity. And by the way,
that will take you if you do not know yourself.
By the way,
go ahead.
They have said beyond any shadow of a doubt that there are millions upon millions of parallel dimensions, and that is no longer a theory. That's a scientific fact. And he says, we are able to reach into these other dimensions and bring data back, and he says into this dimension. Well, he also says, and he's laughing about it. He says, truth is, he says, I gain all my power from the dark side. He says, he says in the witchy stuff. Well, when you're talking about the old ones, the Lovecraftian old ones, and you're talking about them being basically not having any compassion or any empathy for humans, that they would look at us like we would look at an ant and squash us and not have any, or destroy us and not have any remorse whatsoever. You're not dealing with a person. You are dealing with a very, very intelligent person who is, the only explanation is he is insane, or they've already entered him. They've already possessed him. And I believe that is the truth. I know it sounds crazy.
Well, and if everybody... Okay, and if anybody wants to look at this another way, we can look at this scientifically, not even have to go woo-woo. We can look at the fact that they've already talked about, being able to download consciousness, or being able, to, put consciousness into a body. But they've never discussed the fact, well, somebody's got to sacrifice to have that consciousness put in the body. You're not just going to grow a body. So,
but
if that technology gets to that point where somebody like the Rockefeller who died could, finally get the technology, and he can, put his consciousness into some young stud.
Well,
they've had.
Go ahead.
It was just that they've had that concept. I've seen it in movies a lot, and the whole part, the message coming through is that there's always a sacrifice. Like the scientist is always making it out to be like, oh, it's the first one's not a real person. You know what I mean? They're not a real entity. They're not fully developed. They're not whatever, and lie, and then and have the consciousness put in. It was a one.
Thanks for joining me. You can look online at pictures of Jody Rose. Look online, just Google Jody Rose. Look at his pictures, and you tell me. I mean, honestly, tell me if that is the same person. Tell me if that's the same man in every picture of Jody Rose. It's like Jacob, you're right, clones. Wow, you put that before I even said that. Wow. Man, I'm telling you, this guy, there has to be more than one of him, because it is creepy. I was looking at his pictures, and I'm like, I'm like, this is Jody Rose.
Okay, let me ask you a question here. Where's his clone coming from? How did you get a clone of him to grow and become his exact same age?
Well, I'm not saying that it's a clone.
No, but I just wanted to. I'm just talking. I want to find out.
I think it's a synthetic human. I think it's a synthetic.
No, that makes more sense.
AI.
That they can download consciousness into that synthetic being. That makes sense.
Yes, but I think that Jody Rose himself, if when you get into that, it's like Russian dolls. Where's the real Geordie Rose? Is he still
and everybody in history also gets lookalikes too. We knew that Saddam Hussein had, I don't know how many. Hillary, even stars have done it, where they get people and hire them lookalikes to go and do someplace.
Google Geordie Rose, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, this is no lookalike. This is no double. This is him, but it is him. It is. It's creepy, and I'm looking at it, and I'm comparing the pictures, and I'm like, okay, something's off here. Something's not right here, and but that's just it. Is religion and technology, religion and science, advanced technology are merging together.
Yep. Even Michio Kaku talks about that in the old ancient writings. He still talks about, like, he's an atheist or whatever, but he talks about that the old sciences and ancient writings are finding that the science, they were right.
Well, yeah, they were right, and
about a lot of things.
It says in the book of Daniel, it says that they will seek to mix iron with clay, but
iron and clay.
Let me read it. And it says that okay, I got lost. Okay, here we go. Okay, it says it's Daniel chapter 2 verse 43. It says, and in that you saw the iron mixed with common clay, they will combine with one another in the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, even as iron does not combine with pottery. So what that's talking about is transhumanism, is my opinion. And it is also, it's the law of double reference. It's talking about two things at one time. It's also talking about the political religious combination, and in doing that, they're not going to adhere to one another, because the political is going to take over. It's always going to take over. One or the other is going to overcome the weaker. I mean, there's going to be one stronger, there's going to be one weaker. Which is, stronger, iron or clay? Iron. I mean, but it's not talking about iron mixed with common clay. They will combine with one another in the seed of men. So that's talking about DNA. It's
I always used to think it was talking about the blood type, Rh negative versus Rh positive.
Right.
It was talking about them.
Right.
It's not mixing in them up yet.
But that's the.
And I always thought that was the thing why they were Egyptians were punished too, that they could have had some Rh negatives, and so that's why the firstborns were killed, because if any Rh negatives were in the second, they would be, or Rh positives or whatever, were different. The mothers would kill the baby. I don't know. I just thought always blood types, always thought DNA, but now we have transhumanism and synthetics and.
Yeah, well, it's my view that the Rh negative, Rh positive, Yeah, that's DNA. I mean, when you get down to it, I mean, it says in the Bible, the life is in the blood. That word life, it means the spark, the divine. It says that God, breathed into Adam, and Adam became a living being. To where the first creation, it didn't quite work out for some reason. Now, I don't know why, it doesn't say, but it just says that they created,
It was probably the dinosaurs, and they needed the dinosaurs so they can die and become fossil fuels.
Well, this was like, it does not say, but then it says...
I'm joking.
Oh, well...
I'm joking.
Well,
but it's a possibility if God had to look at the long-term plan and he has billions of days and 1,000 to 1, the time is completely different. Then in order to make any kind of media, if you make a media to house like an ant farm or whatever, you make a house, you have to make the house,
But the life is in the blood. It's talking about that divine breath, that divine spark that the Bible says was breathed into Adam. Now, if you want to get into that about different, DNA, people with DNA anomalies and different DNA, that possibly could be that the first creation, or what that's describing, I don't think that it's talking about one man and one woman. I think it's talking about a group of people, or many people, and but there was definitely something that was not right with the first, or something that wasn't that they said, hey, we can improve, or we need to do something about this. And so, and this is also in when you start talking about Enlil and Enki and the Anunnaki and all of that. It's basically the same story. Right. And Enki
the epics of Gilgamesh,
is
like Noah.
Scientist that places his own DNA in the creation, which, hey, that's basically what Genesis says. God breathed into Adam's nostrils his breath, his own breath. That's talking about DNA. And so if you want to get down to brass tacks, it could very well possibly be that there are people on this earth that have different DNA. What kind? Alien. Do I mean little green men? No. Little gray men? No. Is God of this world? No.